Bill didn't respond until after he finished his bite, then said, "I had a really good talk with him. I shared with him the information that I had uncovered at home with my surveillance system, as well as the things that I intended to do in relation to the divorce. He didn't really agree with some of the things that I mentioned in the conditions of the divorce, but I told him to do it my way, and that we would debate it later if there were any issues that arose in that case." "When do you plan to serve her? Do you have a decision regarding that matter?" Jason inquired. Over the course of a few seconds, Bill said, "I'm not actually certain yet, but it will be around the middle of next week." Bill appeared to be thinking critically about the situation. "To be honest, I believe that I will be the one to provide her the paperwork. It is necessary for me to get together with my sister once again so that I can take care of a few legal matters that are still outstanding." Jason posed another question. "What does your sister have to say about your plans? Does she have any interest in the topics that we discussed?" Jason appeared to have forgotten about that particular aspect of their past conversations. "Undoubtedly, she is interested in the topic. To be more precise, she is not only interested but also checks on the specifics of the situation and other related matters." During their meal, the two men conversed with one another. Neither of them was in a hurry, so they were able to sit back and take it easy for the remainder of the week. Additionally, Bill had a very busy weekend ahead. His ideas were nearly finished, and he was willing and eager to put them into action. He expressed his gratitude for the fact that his fabricated urinary tract infection continued to provide him with the necessary cover to avoid having sexual contact with his wife. During Linda's conversation with her mother on the phone on Sunday afternoon, he was finally able to start putting his revenge move into motion so that he wouldn't have to do it on the way to work on Monday. Bill informed her that he was going to go out and get some gas for his car. He did this so that he wouldn't have to do it during Linda's chat with her mother. Linda provided a slight nod of the head in acknowledgement of his assertion. There was a discussion about pregnancies going on. Bill drove himself to the Dayton Mall and deposited over 20 envelopes of business size into a mailbox that was conveniently located there. All the envelopes looked the same inside, but each one had a different dorm or frat house name on it from the local colleges. The letter inside said it was from the Montgomery County Health Department, telling everyone to put up the notice so all could see it. Bill knew sending out that letter and notice wasn't legal, and he'd be in big trouble if anyone found out it came from him, but he thought it was safe. The notice warned that Puma's Den was a place linked to lots of HIV cases lately. Bill had made it look really good using pictures from a real letter. He got up, put a fake but realistically looking signature at the bottom, hoping people would believe it and stay away from Puma, thus hurting its business. Time would show if it worked. Linda, tired of waiting for Bill to be ready for love again, hugged him from behind while he shaved one morning. "Do you remember the last time we were close? It was right after your trip. It feels so long ago," she said. Bill didn't reply until he was done shaving. "It has been a long time, hasn't it? Just wait until Wednesday, Linda. Things should be back to normal by then." The days zoomed by, and soon it was Wednesday, the day Bill had been waiting for. In the latter days of his life, Bill participated in a number of meetings, engaged in lengthy phone conversations, and moments of reflection. During his most recent encounter, which took place on Wednesday during his afternoon coffee break, Bill paid a visit to his friend, Jason Shields. The two of them met in the vacant conference room adjacent to the Technical Services Department of Abstract Devices, Inc. "So, Bill, do you have everything prepared for the meeting you have scheduled with your wife? I assume you must be feeling the pressure of these past few weeks," Jason said, appearing concerned about his friend's well-being. "I guess you must be feeling the strain. For me, I am familiar with the experience. Moreover, it appears that your circumstance is somewhat more complicated," he continued. A feeble smile appeared on Bill's face before he responded to his pal. "To put it simply, I am as well prepared as I will ever be at this point. It appears that everything is finally falling into place. In addition to having just had a phone call with my sister, I just finished my most recent meeting with the vice president. It is necessary for me to make one more phone call. My folks have just provided me with a brief confirmation. It appeared as though Bill was attempting to relax by leaning back in his chair. The strain that Bill had been under while attempting to preserve civility with his wife was likely the cause of the dark circles that were beginning to appear beneath his eyes. Jason could tell that Bill appeared to have lost some weight, and there were indications that dark circles were going to become more noticeable in the near future. Given the circumstances that are present, Jason could easily imagine that Bill would experience a big sense of relief after his confrontation with Linda was finished. This was something that Jason could easily imagine. It was expected that there would be a great deal of information for Bill to take care of. What you have taken upon yourself is something that not every man would be able to bear, Bill, Jason remarked. Bill attempted to relax a little bit by stretching his arms out in front of him. Indeed, Jason, it has been a difficult task. I would like to express my gratitude to you for all the assistance you have provided with this matter. Since I would have been compelled to only think what it would have been like to have exacted some degree of retribution on those who are deserving of it, since I would have been obliged to do so without it. The next thing that Bill said was, I hope you have those 2 envelopes that I handed you somewhere secure. I am aware that you probably have a very good head on your shoulders on what needs to be done. Bill gave a nod and said, just make sure you leave no clues behind. You're good with computers and the web. I trust you to hide your steps well. I don't want you getting into trouble for this. You asked me to help with this, even though it's a bit shady. Just be safe, he added. Jason smiled in reply. I've got a plan. I'm in Cincinnati a lot visiting Heidi. I'll use a public Wi-Fi there to go online. I've got an old laptop for the job and a spare hard drive to swap out after. I'll get rid of the old one so there's no proof left. Don't fret, BB. I'll be fine. Let me know what you spend on the hard drive and any other costs. I don't want you paying out of your pocket. Jason shook his head. No worries at all, Bill. I've got some old hard drives lying around. They're too old to be of use now. It's how things go. They talked a bit more, then Bill went back to work, feeling more at ease than before. When Linda arrived home from work, Bill was already taken up in his favorite chair, which was located in the living room. Alongside him, on one of the chairs in the dining room, he was sitting with his briefcase open. Both chairs were moved such that they were in close proximity to the coffee table, making it possible for him to readily access it. Upon his wife's announcement that she had returned home, Bill beckoned her to come in. When Linda came into the living room, instead of asking Linda to sit down on the sofa, Bill merely pointed to it and asked, "Why don't you sit down there on the sofa? We have a few things that we need to discuss with one another." Although she appeared to be a little perplexed, Linda continued to sit on the sofa. "Can you tell me what's wrong, Bill? Have you received the results of the test that you had done to diagnose the urinary tract infection?" inquired Linda. "In your opinion, Linda, there is nothing new that is wrong. We need to talk about this issue because it has been around for a long time," Bill responded. Linda continued to appear perplexed and inquired, "Is this an old problem?" Instead of responding to the question, Bill dug into his briefcase and pulled out a photograph, which he then placed on the table in front of her. He did not address the question directly. This was the very first photograph that he had taken from the movies that were playing in the bedroom, and it showed his wife reaching up to switch off the lamp after Denise had departed earlier that evening. "Can you explain the significance of this photograph to me?" Prior to providing her response, Linda gave it a cursory glance. "Just a photo of myself, does it justice," she said. This was the second time she glanced at it, and she continued by saying, "I don't remember you taking it though." As was the case before, he did not make any remarks in response to her response. Rather, he delved into the suitcase and pulled out another photograph, specifically this one, which is an enlarged version of the video that was taken in the living room. It shows Linda standing by the telephone with her arms crossed and appearing to be waiting for something. "What do you think of this one, Linda? What does it tell you about yourself?" In the event that it was ever conceivable, Linda appeared even more perplexed, and she responded promptly after taking a brief look at the photograph, "One more image of me, if you will. I don't understand why you are asking me these details." Is there something wrong, Bill? Despite the fact that her inquiries were not answered, Bill proceeded to retrieve the packet of matches from the Pumas situated in Denver. When I showed you them in the past, you stated that you were unaware of where you had attained them. Are you absolutely certain about that? Putting them in front of her, he reached over and placed them there. There was a brief moment of terror that passed Linda's face before she said, I told you I don't know where they're from. This time, Linda's face became a little bit pale. It seems to me that I must have merely picked them up from around here. It was time for Bill to move on to the next item. This is yet another shot from the film that was taken in the bedroom, and it shows Linda unbuttoning the fourth button on the shirt that she was wearing that evening. The photo was so clear that the pattern of the flowers that were embroidered on her bra could be seen through the fabric of the shirt. Her face displayed a very faint smile, and the picture was sharp enough to enable this. That brings us to this one. What do you recall about this? How many memories does it bring back to you? The fact that she was plainly astonished, which caused her face to turn white as she took a momentary look at it. At what time did you take this? I was wondering how you got this picture without making a sound. Bill removed another photograph from the bag and positioned it in front of her with particular care just a few seconds before they turned to walk to the bedroom. Linda and Dennis were captured in a still image that was grabbed from the video being shown in the living room. Dennis had just pushed Linda's bra up, leaving her completely exposed to the camera. Linda's top was off, and it was hanging from her right hand. Dennis had just pushed her bra up. Because of this picture, Linda was on the verge of passing out, and consequently, she was compelled to grab hold of the heavy coffee table as she appeared to sway in her seat. She appeared to be in a state of fear and panic. At this point, it was the first time that Bill had ever seen her complexion so pale. A couple of times, her mouth opened and closed before she was finally able to articulate her thoughts. How come? How is it? What was the source of this? Excuse me as I explain. It is no, Bill. It is not what it appears to be. Her gaze was drawn to him, and she scanned his face for any clues that could reveal what he was contemplating. However, seeing nothing but a stoic expression, she reached inside the briefcase and pulled out a collection of photographs. Bill did not make any remarks before placing them in a symmetrical arrangement on the coffee table. A photograph was displayed that showed Linda lying on her hands and knees on the bed with Earl. An expression of longing could be seen on Linda's face as she cast a glance back over her shoulder. The following photograph depicted her sitting on the bed with Earl while she was naked. Dennis found himself on top of Linda as she looked at the photos. Bill had laid them out, and Linda's eyes moved from one to another. She started to cry. I'm so sorry. How can I fix this? Please let me explain. Please forgive me, she begged. Bill was upset. You want me to forgive you for this? You think you can make it all okay? You've hurt me a lot, and you think I'll just let it go? Why should I? Linda was really upset. Her hands were together like she was praying, while tears fell on her shirt. Please, Bill, I didn't want to hurt you. It wasn't to hurt you, believe me. I love you. We can get through this. Let me try, she cried. Bill cut her off. Didn't mean to hurt me? We can move past it? I love you. Enough lies, Linda. I can't believe you do this to us. You must have done it before, and now you want a free pass? You've got to be joking. Please, Bill, I didn't mean to hurt you. I haven't been doing this for years, I swear, she said between sobs. Just to be clear, tell me, Linda, how many times you went out behind my back? How many times you brought men home or went somewhere else? How many times you and Denise swapped so you could be with two men at once? Tell me about the Pumas. Tell me everything, now. Bill waited for her answers, looking at her. It was clear he wanted the truth. Once more, she started unconsciously expanding and closing her mouth without making a sound. I have only been out 4 times, she remarked, which was the final point. I solemnly swear that a few months ago, Denise and I went to that pub, but I swear to you that I did not leave with anyone else. Inside, a couple of times, I went out and danced. A young man was picked up by Denise, but I was the one who drove. Even though I was by myself, I drove her car back to this location. Over the course of the conversation, Linda had been gazing intently at the images, and she looked up to observe Bill's response. Despite the fact that his look had not changed, she had slowed down, and before continuing, she wiped her face with her sleeves. When I saw them joking around in the back seat, it made me want to have a sexual encounter. Denise and the other individual went into the guest bedroom, and I followed them in. When we arrived back here, I headed inside our bathroom in order to bring about a climax in myself. During the course of her speech, Linda's face displayed a change in color, turning red with embarrassment. After some time had passed, I was able to hear Denise crying out to me as a result. I went to the guest bedroom to inquire about what she desired. She requested that I follow them around. Yes, I did. It made me want to become horny all over again. In the time that I was watching them, I forced myself to return. I went back into our bedroom and fled before they finished what they were doing. It was hard for me to accept that I had done it in front of them. The subsequent time you went out of town, I brought a person back with me, and we went back to the place we had been before. There were a few moments when we engaged in sexual activity, and then the two gentlemen left with Denise. In an attempt to determine how Bill was responding to what she had just said, Linda looked up once more. However, his face was inscrutable and devoid of any expressions of emotion. Are you certain that you want to listen to this, Bill? These photographs have already been shown to you. Why isn't it sufficient? Bill retrieved a DVD that was enclosed in a transparent case from his briefcase and placed it on the table. He then reached over to him. Currently, I only have a few still photographs. This movie contains more than 2 hours of footage, and it also includes sound. Furthermore, there is not a single second of the events that took place that evening that I have not witnessed at least twice. The fact that you had done this before was glaringly clear. His remarks were so icy that they almost caused Linda to feel a chill run down her spine. Before uttering a word, Linda's face turned white once more, and she did not stop crying. You caught it all on video? My God, you know everything. I'm so sorry, Bill. Can we fix this somehow? Just following what you're saying. Tell me about the big mess I've made. Go on, tell me. He was moving his arms, pushing her to talk. His words and demeanor made Linda shocked, so she kept going. Next time we went, that's when I got the matches you found. We came back with 2 guys and swapped. She reached out and touched the DVD before she went on. The last time, you saw it all, she hid her face in her hands and cried quietly, shaking with each sob. Bill took the photos, matches, and the DVD and put them in his briefcase. After that, he dug around in the briefcase and took out a small pack of papers. He threw it on the coffee table in front of Linda. It made a noise that made Linda jump and move her hands from her face. Her eyes were full of tears, so Bill got a box of tissues from the table and gave it to her. Dry your eyes, Linda. You need to see these papers. She quickly took a bunch of tissues, and soon after she picked up the papers in front of her, divorce papers. Bill, please, can't we fix this? Please, no divorce. I love you, she said desperately. You have a strange way of showing it, Linda. You just proved what I mostly knew. How can we stay married after that? It's not just how many times you cheated or what you did. Also Bill got one of the photos from the briefcase and dropped it in front of Linda. It was the photo of her turning off the lamp just before the video ended. Linda looked at the photo again, even picked it up and looked at it before she put it back on the table. There was a look of bewilderment on her face. I am unable to comprehend, and what exactly is it about this photo that makes it even worse than the films you have that I have uploaded previously? Then, after picking it up and looking at it with a furious expression on his face, Bill held it up for her to look at once more and said, "Look at the expression on your face." What has truly demonstrated to me that our marriage is no longer going to work is that smile, that sly smirk, that grin is not intended for me. On the other hand, simply because you are considering me, the smile that tells me that you had such a good time playing tricks on me that you are thinking about it right before you go to sleep, is telling me that you enjoyed it so much because you have betrayed me and because you have broken the vows you made to your spouse. There is absolutely no sorrow or sadness. At this point, tears had started to form in Bill's eyes, and one of them even started to roll down his cheek. In a fit of rage, he reached for a tissue from the box and wiped it away. In my opinion, there is not the slightest bit of uncertainty in my mind that you would have done this once more, most likely within a week or two on my subsequent trip to Colorado Springs that was planned. I am ready to bet that the next time you had the opportunity, you would have also let Denise have a double sex with you. When you watched the three of them, you were so captivated that you did not want to give it a shot yourself, Linda said. When Linda swiftly responded, "No, Bill, that is not what would have happened," she appeared to demonstrate a great deal of excitement. Previously, I had informed Denise that I would never again engage in that behavior, and that I would never again accompany her to the beverage establishment. She was informed that you and I were going to make an effort to start a family together. It is likely that you overheard me telling her that. I called her once more from my residence just a few days ago, when I told her that I would never go back to that place or get together with her and her friends again. I was trying to reassure her that I meant what I said. The expression on Bill's face changed to one of melancholy as he responded, "I don't have any recording of that, Linda. Over the past few weeks, I have removed all of the recording equipment from the premises. Nevertheless, it wouldn't really make a difference. Regardless, the things that I saw and heard made it impossible for me to ever trust you again. I will never be able to." Linda's face changed quickly. It went from a bit happy to very sad, tears and all. "Bill, it's true," she said. "I was done with that stuff. That you and I were going to start a family. You have to trust me. I will do everything I can for you to trust me again." She was really trying now, using every bit of hope in her voice and words. It was clear she was in a tough spot. "I'm sorry, Linda. It's over. I've had enough time to think about it, and you will too once you let it sink in," Bill replied calmly. "You don't have to look at those papers right now, but here's what's going to happen." While Linda started to cry again, Bill took out more papers from his bag. The first was a check. He put it on the small table and said, "Here's a check for what we had together in the bank. We will keep our own stuff like before we met. I closed the old shared bank stuff and got rid of our shared cards after paying them off. Your own card will still work. I signed off the house to my sister, Sandy. It was mine before we got married, and I don't think you can say it's partly yours," Bill said. "She'll be here tonight. She'll stay in the other room. You've got 10 days to find a new place." Bill didn't seem alarmed and continued on, but Linda was furious and said, "I have to leave." "Where will I go? Why is your sister coming? I don't think you can just take my part of the house. We've been here for nearly 10 years now. I sold the house to Sandy, and you won't make a fuss." "I'll tell you why in a bit," Bill said with determination. Bill placed a list of furniture, appliances, and household goods onto the coffee table and said, "She's here to look after things while I'm not here. It is going to be her responsibility to ensure that you bring only the items that you are authorized to bring. This is a list of the things that are available to you." The title of the list was "Items You Can Have." Bill placed an additional sheet of paper on the table. He then slipped the paper across to her, passing her another sheet of paper with the list titled "These Items. Do not depart from the house. The next 10 days are allotted to you to locate a new residence, whether it be a house or an apartment. Alternatively, if you so desire, you may even move in with Denise. Can't really be bothered. Over the next 10 days, you will be gone. You have the ability to remove anything from that list that you desire, but you are not permitted to remove anything from the other list due to the fact that they are owned by my parents. Such goods are located within the house. Sandy will be relocating her belongings into this condo, which she is renting, in order to replace the ones that you are permitted to take. Sandy has her own furniture in the condo that she is renting. You have the option of renting a storage unit if you do not have an apartment or any other possible location to put them. There's one next to the shopping center. Bill hesitated for a moment between sentences. Linda blurted out, "I will not be moving out. I would like for us to work toward saving our marriage. On this bill, I could take part in counseling." Bill shook his head and said, "I will fight against you. That is not something I will ever sign. It's too late to try to work things out or get help. I suppose that by the time I watched the security footage, it was already too late when you went out to pick up Dennis and Earl. On the night you went out, I was listening to your phone conversation with Dennis, which was the last straw that broke our marriage. When was the last time you disrespected me and cheated on me? Both have been done by you. You won't resist signing the documents, nor will there be any difficulty. I've written instructions on the outside of the envelope, saying that if I haven't returned to get it by 4 months, the recipient should open the envelope." I handed the envelope to a person. "I shall take up the pieces if our divorce is final or about to become so. If you push back and keep putting things off, he'll either open the envelope that's inside the envelope or tell him to upload the video files that have Dennis, Earl, and you on them to the internet. Some free websites are publicly accessible. You know, they're just pictures with words on them telling you to send them to your parents. I copied down the addresses from our book and located every email on your PC. Everybody will receive a link to the website containing your videos," she swiftly added, observing his growing ire. "You wouldn't do that, you wouldn't, right?" She began to cry once more as she realized how terrible things could get if he followed his advice. "If I have to, Linda, I'll do it. This is the only time I will say it, for now. You are unable to authenticate those images or videos. All of the spying material is gone because I broke the old hard drive and replaced it with a new one. I have no control over what I do. Don't force me to do anything you'll regret because I don't hate you yet. Do you hear me? Is what I'm saying understood?" His final statement, "I hope you're paying attention, because I won't be here to talk later," caused her to look up, wipe her face, and ask, "What do you mean you won't be here? To what destination are you heading?" As previously mentioned, Sandy will remain here tonight to take care of things. While my parents are on a cruise, I'm taking a week off to visit their home in Florida. I'll be in Colorado Springs for my new job after that. I'm moving and I traded jobs with the city manager there. With my assistance, he is coming here for my former job. They anticipate significant growth in the next year or so. I ought to be paid what I am now. You are free to decide which of these items you would like to keep because I don't want any of our old furniture or household items to remind me of you or the things we used to own. Anything on that list that you choose not to take will be given to a nonprofit. Sandy has all of her own furniture and other items that she may bring into this house, as I suggested, so she doesn't need any of our previous belongings." To Linda's credit, she was finally able to find her voice and say, "You're moving away because I want us to be able to mend our marriage. Put it away in storage within 10 days if you are unable to locate a suitable location to relocate. I would like you to stay here." Bill merely shook his head and said, "You don't need me to have children. That can be taken care of for you by one of your other attractive young students at the university. I'm interested in having your children. Perish the thought of using condoms. I'm sure there won't be any objections. You will undoubtedly be taking some chances, but life is, after all, a gamble, right? Although I thought you were the winner, consider what you've turned into right now, not even a 3 or a 4 out of 10, like your close friend Denise Grady. You two are worthy of each other. If you can't live with her, you might want to look into renting an apartment in the same complex." As Linda spoke, she gave off the impression that she was in an agitated state and was ready to spit words out. "Having a college student father my children is not in my best interest. You have my interest. I want my kids to grow up with a loving and caring father. A child's growth and well-being depend on their father. While I acknowledge that children need a real father figure, I refuse to be that father figure. You could look for another person who would be interested in getting married. They might not even be aware of your deceit, or they might not even care. That being said, I am not among those men who find it acceptable if their wives are only 3 or 4 years old. Some men don't give a damn. After a few moments, after Linda had finished staring at his wife, he reached into his briefcase to look through his list of things that needed to be done and realized that there was one more thing he had neglected to tell her. As he had stated, you've got one more thing to do to keep those videos off the web. Linda had somehow found the ability to cry even more, and she had eventually reached for additional tissues to dry her hot, wet eyes. Bill was the object of her gaze, but she said nothing, leaving him wondering if she had finally reached the end of her words. I'm going to give your parents a call and speak with your dad in about 2 weeks. He must understand our reasons for parting ways. You don't have to tell them some nonsense about how we don't get along. You have to be honest with them, you understand? After wiping her eyes, Linda shook her head gently and said, Please don't make me tell them what I've done. I'm unable to inform them. I don't care how hard it is for you, you have to give me some kind of break here, Bill said, casting a cold glance at her. You will inform them that you had an affair with me. You don't have to explain everything about how you switched places with Denise or how you watched her with those guys as you were getting off. They don't require everything. But you need to tell them that you have broken our marriage vows more than once. If not, the images will be the source of their knowledge. Bill took one last look at his list, closed his briefcase, and locked it so that only he could open it. He felt he could keep Linda in the same room for a little while longer, so he checked his watch one more time and decided it was time to call his sister. Hi Sandy, this is Bill. I simply wanted to know how today went. Hello, Bill. After you left, Linda cried all evening long. Before I remembered what you said, I was on the verge of feeling sorry for her. It was fine, though I wasn't sure how she would behave with just the two of us here. Had she said anything significant? Could it be that she said something to you that she was unable to say to me? Bill, not really. Before she went to bed, we had a brief conversation in which she confessed her many mistakes. What matters is not the details, but rather the fact that she had ruined her life on her own. I know that she spoke with her friend Denise shortly before going to bed, and she didn't seem to mind if I heard the call or not when I was there. It is not something that really worries me, what she said to that woman. She will also, in all circumstances, earn hers. She didn't utter many words. Her most recent declaration to Denise was that she probably won't speak with her ever again. We are going to divorce her at some point because you have learned everything there is to know about it. She slapped the phone on the ground and started crying. Sandy, as I just explained, it's not that big of a deal. Once an action is taken, it cannot be reversed. There's no going back now. What kind of day did you have today? Did she not go to work this morning? Are you seriously suggesting that she began searching for a new place to call home? I believe she called Bill and gave him a reservation, despite the fact that I didn't leave until almost 9 o'clock. She was still taking a cup of coffee while wearing her pajamas and sitting at the kitchen table. She appeared to be in a terrible state, and I don't believe she got much sleep. As soon as I arrived home, she was nowhere to be found. So, I took a quick check around, and it appears that she is beginning to pack some things. The bedroom included a few boxes with various items, including cosmetics and other items. Therefore, I am delighted to learn that because I didn't want to abandon you in the midst of a chaotic situation. In spite of the fact that you are now an adult and I was without me being there, you will be able to take care of yourself. It is a pleasure to learn that she is beginning to take what I have said into consideration. A couple of days from now, I will give you another call to check on how things are going. To add insult to injury, I had no trouble entering the condo that my parents own. I sat near the pool and under a tree that provided shade for the majority of today. Perhaps tomorrow I will go swimming for a short period of time. At this very moment, all I want to do is relax as much as you possibly can. You do it, Bill. I can't even begin to fathom the amount of stress you've been experiencing. If there is something that is of critical importance, I will phone you at that location. Not a single thing ought to be present. In a few days, I will have a conversation with you. They both said bye, and as he put down the phone, Bill found he had the matchbox again, ready to count them one more time. By the end of the week, Linda had left the house, taking many of the best chairs and machines, a lot of plates and forks, plus many small things too. Some chairs were left, and those Sandy didn't want were given to Goodwill. When asked, Linda told Sandy she was moving to a flat in Centerville and gave her the address and number to give to Bill, but he told his sister he didn't want them when she asked again. 2 weeks later, he was settling into his new job in Colorado Springs. Bill called his friend Jason one night to hear about the fake letters he had sent to all the college groups. Jason had his worker Jim, the young guy who used to check the bar's crowd for him. Jim had news Jason wanted to share with Bill. Jim found out from some pals who still went to the Pumas dinner that the spot had hit a hard patch. Suddenly, there were only a few men showing up each night, making many women leave when they saw the small crowd. This kept happening, so even fewer women came. Jim didn't get why but thought the men might have found a better place. Settling in Colorado Springs kept Bill busy, and he didn't call Jason back for a few weeks. In point of fact, he had attempted to phone him once or twice, but he had not received a response, and he had not left a note because he was uncertain about when he would be accessible himself. When he was eventually able to make contact with Jason, he was provided with the opportunity to share some encouraging news with him. 2 days ago, Bill, I was having a conversation with Jim. The doors at the Pumas in Denver were padlocked, according to him, and he added that one of his buddies had informed him of this. The door was adorned with a notice that stated the landlord had taken possession of the property due to the tenant's failure to pay the weekly rent. Another thing that he heard was that there was going to be a bluegrass bar opening up in that spot. Bill, I'm willing to wager that you'll consider that to be very wonderful news, won't you? The final statement was made by Jason, who laughed loudly. Amazingly, Bill responded in a hurry, to put it another way, it doesn't get much better than that. It blows my mind that the police department could have been defunct in such a short amount of time. Do you mind it has been brought to my attention that the bar business is a very challenging one to generate money in if one does not have a good customer service system. Their financial situation was probably too precarious for them to be able to sustain even a few weeks of poor performance. On the other hand, I can't say that the news has made me feel any kind of distress, he said swiftly. I too have some excellent news to share. As I was talking to my sister over the weekend, she informed me that she had received a phone call from Linda, who was acting very agitated. To summarize, Denise called her and yelled at her, claiming that someone, most likely myself, but also Linda, had ruined her life. She also stated that she was angry with her behavior. It would appear that someone contacted her current workplace as well as a few of her acquaintances and informed them about a particular website. When they went there, they discovered movies of Denise Grady, 2 young men, and some amateur productions. They also discovered some old videos. It is said that a couple of days after she was dismissed, her son, who attends Dayton University, discovered that a buddy of his was included in a spicy film that was posted on the internet. He discovered this information when he checked out the website himself. It was when he found out that his mother was the co-star that he chose to disown her. Based on what Linda told Sandy, Bill gave a small laugh and then said, I also figured out that the tale of the 2 kids in a spicy clip will get talked about by their pals on the social media they all use, and those clips will likely trouble them later. These sites are used by many employers to locate information not included on a resume. I might have got back at them without even trying. Linda was eager to know if I had kept my word not to put her clips online. Sandy told her to go look at the site herself. Bill chuckled, then said, I guess she was okay because she called a few days after to thank me for not uploading her clips. I want to say thanks for your help, Jason. I went and checked it myself, and it really does mess up her image, but she might think it's good for her image. I don't think she gets what shame means. You could be right, Bill. Some women are just like that. But if her son found it, maybe other family did too. Did any of her family end up on that list too? Call? I'm not totally sure, Jason. She might have had a few cousins. I remember Denise saying she had cousins in Dayton, so I added a few who could be related. I found 3 likely names in the phone book and 2 Slinger ones, her old name. I was hoping they were family. Jason laughed and said, "You really can't stand her, can you? With her real estate career and her position on the board of governors for the Real Estate Dealers Association, you really got to her." That was the plan, Jason. I bet she can't find a real estate job in Ohio now. Thanks for your assistance. You don't have to thank me, Bill. In the evening of the next day, Bill called his soon-to-be ex-father-in-law to find out if she had fulfilled the condition that he had placed on her. "Good morning, Jim. It's only fair that we, who were once in a relationship, should remain together," she said, laughing as they hung up the phone. "It's Bill Phillips here. What's going on?" "Bill, how may I help you with this?" "I'm going to assume that you've heard that Linda and I are going to initiate the divorce process," he said, clearly under pressure. "Actually, we did, Bill. Both Patricia and I are extremely saddened by the news. It never seemed to us that you were the son, by any means." Jim Baker then paused a little before continuing, saying, "I can never tell you how unhappy we were with Linda when she told us the reason you decided to break up with her." Bill could hear the pain in Jim's voice and felt bad for him because he was an innocent victim of his daughter's adultery. "Jim, just like you, I was not happy. I understand that it might be difficult as well. Please let me know if you think that Patricia and you would have issues with this. On the other hand, thank you." Jim cleared his throat before answering, saying, "I'd like to keep in regular contact with both of you. I feel like you two have become good friends over the years, and I'm not going to divorce you." In addition, it was clear that he was overpowered by his feelings whenever he engaged in conversation. "That would be great, Bill. Despite the fact that we despise what Linda did to your marriage by cheating on you, we are sorry. Still, she is our daughter and the only child we have. Please do not come to the conclusion that we ought to disown her. We would like to find a way to keep our friendship with you while at the same time preserving the integrity of our family connection." Bill claims that he did not think what Jim had just said would affect him in the way that it did. "Yes, Jim, that is what I know. I would expect nothing else. Please tell Patricia how much I appreciate you." He had to stop what he was doing because he could feel his voice breaking. At that point, "Yes, I will, Bill. I would like to share with you one thing that I would like to tell you. Linda has been in danger of having a stroke because she is finding it difficult to accept the really bad choices she has made." Bill was afraid that he might use his powers to break his soon-to-be ex-wife, but he is relieved that nothing remains that could make the situation even more dire than it already is. She was too weak, in his opinion. "Maybe you're right, Jim," he moaned into the phone. Soon after, they bid each other farewell. Officially, Bill and Linda Phillips were no longer together. Although Linda didn't hurry to call it quits, she did sign the documents Bill's attorney had forwarded to her within a week of some startling videos featuring Denise Grady appearing online. He didn't hear from her again after that. After they got divorced, Bill had considered exacting significant revenge on his former partner. He intended to upload videos of her and 2 pupils to the internet. But he decided not to, wanting to move on and aware of how bad it could get. He abandoned her, not knowing when those videos would surface. He also understood that anything posted online stays up there indefinitely. The originals would keep coming back, even if they were erased. It would never stop hurting Linda, it would serve as a continual reminder of her actions. During a trip to Colorado Springs approximately a year later, Sandy informed Bill that Linda had gotten married to an older man and was expecting a child. Sandy assumed she knew the man, a 55-year-old frequent attendee of his strict religious order. Bill pondered whether Linda was merely seeking a partner to begin a family following her divorce. Bill rarely went on dates because he was too scared of being harmed once more. After his first marriage ended, the few dates he went on were more about comfort than rekindling his love. It took him 2 years to wed Mary Lincoln. She had 2 small children and was a widow. Her late husband was employed by Abstract Devices Incorporated, Bill's former employer. He was killed in an automobile accident under Bill's team by an inebriated driver. Bill got to know Mary well and assisted her greatly with her husband's work benefits. They ran into each other at the store, nearly a year after their last conversation about work. Not long after, they began dating. Bill quickly came to the conclusion that she was the one for him. They didn't wait to get married after she expressed that they felt the same way. Right after their first year together, they are currently waiting for the birth of their first child, a boy. Although they were not married at the same time as Bill and Mary, Jason Shields and Heidi West attended each other's weddings. They are now close friends. Bill is making an effort to persuade Jason and Heidi to consider relocating to Colorado Springs. There's a big opening in the technical services department. Hi there. Please feel free to forward these contents to your friends and family if you have found them interesting. Furthermore, in light of YouTube's algorithmic tendency to favor videos with a higher number of likes, a quick click on the like button would greatly aid in the expansion of our podcast's audience. It's also highly recommended to subscribe to the channel in order to receive notifications whenever new content is posted. YouTube will notify you as necessary. I sincerely appreciate your help. Have a fantastic day.